fight a little longer, my friend. It's all worth it in the end. But when you got nobody to turn to, just hold on and I'll find you. I'll find you. I'll find you. Just hold on and I'll find you.
I'm hanging on by a thread, and all I'm clinging to is prayers. And every breath is like a battle. I feel like I ain't come prepared.
Hello! Hi everyone! We are here doing another video for everyone. Kind of a touchy subject, but one that is really prevalent today.
Or touchy subjects. There's like 10. But we kind of wanted to address the fact that there aren't necessarily different, like we like to think that there are different levels of sin, and like, oh, you are worse of a person because you murdered somebody compared to me. I'm just, looking at things I shouldn't on the internet or whatever. But they all are the same level to God. Like, a sin is a sin. And I don't think that there's different levels of sin. I just think there's different levels of visibility. Like, if, we're kind of going to go into this, but if you were to murder somebody, it gets put all over the news. Whereas if you're just watching porn kind of in your own room in a confined area, nobody's going to necessarily see that, and so it isn't thought of as bad of a sin. So we're going to kind of delve into different types of sins. Certainly not all of them, but we just kind of pinpointed a few that are explicitly stated in the 10 Commandments, and then some that are prevalent today.
So, you want to read the 10 Commandments? Sure. Okay. So this is from Exodus 20, verse 1 through 17. And God spoke all these words. I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of Egypt and out of the land of slavery. You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make yourself an idol in the form of anything in heaven above, or on the earth beneath, or in the waters below. You shall not bow down to them or worship them. For I am the Lord your God, and am a jealous God, punishing the children for their sins of the fathers to the third and the fourth generation of those who hate me, by showing love to thousands of generations of those who love me and keep my commandments.
You shall not misuse the name of the Lord your God, for the Lord will not hold anyone guiltless who misuses his name. Remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the seventh day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. On it you shall not do any work, neither you, nor your son or your daughter, nor your manservant, nor your maidservant, nor your animals, nor the alien within your gates. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, the sea, and all that is in them, but he rested on the seventh day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and made it holy. Honor your father and your mother, so that you may live long in the land that the Lord has given you. You shall not murder, you shall not commit adultery, you shall not steal, you shall not give false testimony against your neighbor, you shall not covet your neighbor's house, you shall not covet your neighbor's wife, or his manservant, or his maidservant, his ox or his donkey, or anything that belongs to your neighbor.
Murder. You hear about murder through the news, the newspaper, social media. Murder isn't ranked the worst sin, it's just the most visible. And one that you can never take back. Once it's done, it's done. As it says in Exodus 20, God commands us not to murder. It's something that we shouldn't take lightly. Just saying, oh, it's just a commandment in the Bible, it doesn't matter to me. When truly it does. It matters to the person you murder. It matters to your conscience. It matters to people around you. Your family, your friends, your whole life will change for that one mistake, when all you can do is prevent that by seeking help.
I would say there's a ripple effect too, like the person's family and friends and everything. Like, they also, like the person that you murdered,
yeah,
they're
their
also
family's affected as well.
Okay, the next one that we came up with, the the Bible calls it lust. I would say today we would call it more of like porn or adultery. Not really adultery, that's kind of used in the Bible also, but we split porn or an affair into two different categories. So I'll be covering one and Shelby will be covering the other. But they kind of fall under the same mindset kind of thing. So I had a couple of Bible verses. This is 1 John 2:16. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life is not of the Father, but is of the world. And then Proverbs 6:25. Do not lust after her beauty in your heart, nor let her allure you with her eyelids. I would say porn or lust is less visible of a sin. Visible, the world would consider it less visible. Or the world would consider it less of a sin because it is less visible. Because you cannot see someone necessarily look at porn. You cannot see them lusting after someone or longing after someone because it's a lot more of a thought process than anything. And it can be kept in secret unless it has been deemed acceptable by the world. You can delete your tabs that you were looking at it on. You can erase your history. There's a lot of ways to go around it and get around it. And so the world has kind of been like, oh, it's fine, like as long as it's only affecting you, but it doesn't affect you. It affects the way you think and the way you act, and so then it affects everybody around you. And it's kind of that ripple effect thing again.
So I have an affair. You usually don't hear about someone having an affair because they usually want to keep it quiet. But once it gets out, it spreads like wildfire. I'm going to explain David's story in the Bible, and he was a man of God, and God called him and said that he was the man after his own heart. After him means God, his own heart. David committed adultery several times in the Bible. He murdered a woman's husband because he wanted her. And that is wrong. But there was something about David that God kept saying that he is a man after my own heart. That David kept coming to God and saying, I'm sorry for this sin that I have committed. I realize that this was wrong with me. And that's all that God asks us to do, is just to come to him seeking his help, the Lord's help, and saying, Lord, I know I was wrong here. I know that I have disobeyed your commandment, and I ask for your forgiveness, and God will give it to you.
As long as you're sincere.
Yes. Like you can't just be like, oh, can you please forgive me for this, and then go do it tomorrow.
Yeah. Or as long as it's not a checkbox, like, oh, yep, check this off for today. I asked for forgiveness for this.
Yeah. So just know that if you're seeking God's heart and seeking him, that he can wipe away those things and help you strengthen yourself and want to fight the things that you're battling with. So
the next one I have is lying. I think that in today's culture, lying isn't even really considered a sin anymore. It's just like, oh, I told this little white lie, or oh, I did this little thing and it won't affect anybody. And the little lies may not affect anybody in the moment, but as they build and as they grow, it kind of becomes your nature to go to a lie instead of the truth. And I really liked, I don't know if you can tell on this, can you go back to that for a second? Mm-hmm. I don't know if you can tell on this little screen thing, but it says the word truth, and then he magnified it up, and it's actually, the truth is made of a bunch of different lies. And I thought that was really interesting because, like, I think a lot of us have that mindset that, like, oh, this little lie won't, and this little lie won't, and this little lie won't, until, like, you can't really tell the difference between truth and lies, and, like, your truth is built up of a lot of lies. And so I kind of said that this ties into everything. Like, you lie to hide these things. You lie to hide an affair. You lie to hide porn. You lie to hide a murder. You lie to hide, what are some of those? Oh, you lie to hide that you're stealing. You lie to hide that you have a background, or that you have a past, or that you have all these things going on. And so you may be able to hide them for a little bit, but as they come out and as the truth comes out, you will be worse off for it. The people around you will be worse off for it. I don't know if you can read this. It says, secrets and lies kill relationships. No matter how careful you are, you will get caught. What's done in darkness always comes to light.
stealing. In Exodus, it plainly says, do not steal. this is a visible sin that you will see throughout your life. It will not go away because we live in this sinful world. And the world says that it's because it is a visible sin, like Allie said, the world ranks the sins and saying, okay, murder and adultery and all these different things, and stealing these are the highest ones that you can get, and then everything else is just in this little pool below. But stealing, as God plainly says, is a bad thing, and is something that we should seek Him for help.
The next one I have is abuse, and you can abuse a lot of things, but I'm focusing for this part on sexual and physical abuse and then child labor. So abuse in the world today is kind of considered bad, but it is not considered like bad like we were talking about up at the top, because it's not shown in much light, because like if you're abused, you put on makeup so that you can't tell, or the person who is abusing you like kind of threatens you so that you will not so that you will not tell people so that it will not get out, and then it kind of ties into the whole lying thing. And I was kind of thinking, there's no reason that it is less than murder, because you're hurting and using a fellow human being. You're not killing them, but essentially you're kind of killing their life, but keeping them alive still, because they can't do the things that they may have been able to do. They have to live with this secret on their shoulders forever. And so, yes. And then child labor is kind of a given. Should make kids do things that, like, it stems out of laziness, which isn't really a sin, but, like, forcing a child to do something, again, you're kind of strangling their life out of them again, and forcing them to do whatever you want them to do, and they're more of a tool than a person, and then therein lies the sin part there.
So I'm going to touch on drugs, alcohol, money, sex, and kids. I'm going to go back to Exodus 20 again. I can make myself connected. Should have just left that open. These can everything in life can become an idol, but it seems like these 4 things become an idol in today's life. And even when they're abused or someone takes them to the extreme. Okay, I'm getting there. Okay, so like these 5 things I would say would be some of the things that we deal with in our marriages, and things that may end someone's marriage because your husband had an affair, because your husband or you have taken drugs and have made that become your idol, or money is ruining your family's dynamic, or your kids, as husband and wife, the wife is taking care of the kids and forgets the relationship with her husband and how you guys are supposed to be a team together, which the husband might think, oh, my wife doesn't care about me anymore, so I need to seek that in a different way. And alcohol definitely can just become an idol with anyone. It doesn't mean that it may destroy your relationship permanently, but it can alter things because you can go to getting abused. These different things can affect you in so many ways.
And too, like with the alcohol thing, like you can be like kind of put it before God and be like, oh, I need this because life is tough, so let me run.
Like you have that void in your heart saying, oh, I can feel
or
it.
Drugs, or you can feel
anything. Where God says, you shall not make yourself an idol, because when I read it, it's saying that nothing should become your idol, nothing should fill that void, only God should fill your void. And I think it's a hard thing with today's culture, is you're always trying, I mean, even us, we both try to fill the void thinking God's not enough, but when you God hits you with a hard point and says, excuse me, I'm still here. I'm still the one to fill that void. And don't just set me aside for a relationship. Set me aside for school. Set me aside for studying or different things like that. He is your number one thing.
For sure.
So I have a couple pictures that we can go through real quick. And if Allie's getting ready for the next one. Alright.
Okay, so I was just to tie it all together. You may think, oh well, I don't do any of those things, so I'm great. I'm all good. Even harboring thoughts of these things, the Bible says is considered a sin. The Bible says if you've thought it, you might as well have done it. And so, just kind of in conclusion, like, you can't save yourself by being better or not sinning or doing worse, like a little bit less of a sin, because there is no such thing as a little bit less of a sin. Kind of jumping off what Shelby said there about the void. I was at camp one year and they had this example of trying to fill the void, and it was this jar, and that was your God-shaped void, and you could put in, drugs and alcohol and relationships and things and pets and family and everything, but in the end you're kind of filling it, but there's still going to be gaps in between all the different things that you use to fill it. It's a God-shaped hole for a reason that nothing else can fill it. And so just to kind of tie it all together, Jesus is the only thing that can save you. Jesus is the only way to heaven. Jesus is the only thing that can help you and save you, because as people, we're sinful and we're human and we're going to make mistakes, but when we do make mistakes, the key thing is to just run to Jesus and know that He's your refuge, He's your strength, and He will get you through the hard times. And you don't have to run to sin, and you don't have to run to the things that hurt you or the things that are normal for you. You can run to Jesus and you can find freedom in that. So,
thank you guys. I don't know if you can read the slide. It says all actions result from thoughts, so it is thoughts that matter. So I hope you guys enjoy this video and subscribe.